Hiya,
Hello.
how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. How's Miami?
It's nice. It's actually raining right now, so not
Oh,
not so nice right now.
when
But
and
at least
why did you start Highland dancing?
well, I started when I was probably about two years old, and I started because my sister danced, and I was one of those little sisters that wanted to do everything that their big sister done. So I started. My childminder when I was like a baby, her daughter danced with Mary and Kimberly. So I, even when I was there, they were teaching me paddy baz, they were doing all that stuff. So I started going to classes, joining in classes properly when I was probably about 2.5, two.
And what was your first competitive memory?
So my memory is honestly so bad. I don't really have many memories from being really young, like primary, 4 years or anything like that. And probably my first memory is dancing at a little local competition, and it was me and Claire McLaughlin, and we were probably, I think we were in beginners at the time, and we were dancing the reel together, and the both of us were in second doing our balance together, just chatting away like, oh, it's nearly finished. And she was like, yeah, nearly done, then we'll go and play. And then we're turning together like, okay, right, we've got the high cuts, and then we'll see you at the end, like chatting away in the reel. And then I just remember coming off, and Marianne and Fiona were standing there like, were you two talking during that? We were like, yeah. You're not allowed to do that. Then they were like, no. So that was probably that's the memory that I remember the most. And it's the first memory that I can remember from dancing. Yeah.
Throughout your dancing career, you've been a massive inspiration to other dancers. I was wondering, who was that person for you growing up?
For me, I was probably mostly inspired by the older girls in Marianne's dancing. We always danced our classes like in rows, the older girls at the back row, then and the younger ones at the front, and we would always be at the front like watching the older girls, wanting to be in their row and trying to copy them, trying to dance like them. I feel like they probably inspired me the most. And Kimberly McClean for me was quite a big inspiration. She came fourth in the world, and her mum was my childminder, so I always wanted to dance like Kimberly. And Marianne would always say, oh, you're a mini Kimberly, which I always loved when she called me that. So I'd probably say Kimberly and all the older girls in Marianne's dancing. And then just other, like, it was always within the dance school, I think, for me. Then Sophie joined her dance school, and so that was like inspired me. We always worked together, and Carrie, like everyone inspired me to push to be a better dancer.
Kind of through your competitive dance career, did you develop any superstitions or rituals that you had to do before competition?
This one made me laugh because when I danced, I was the most like superstitious person probably. Every year, I would have a different thing that was like something lucky. So one year it was a pair of pants that I wore. So even if there was like a double championship, I would make my mum wash these pants the night before the championship because I had to wear them. And one year it was like a garter, a lucky garter, and it just depends. I think it just depends on what I wore to like the first championship that I would win, and I would just think that it was this one thing, like one garter. It wasn't the other garter, it was just this one garter. And one year, probably the worst one was, for some reason, my brace. So I had like, I got like a retainer, and it was one of the ones, the pink ones that have the wire around the front, like the big clumpy ones. So I had that, and it didn't have the wire around the front though, it was just for my back teeth. And for some reason this year, this was what I thought was my lucky thing. And that year I actually, halfway through the year, got train tracks put on, so I didn't need the retainer anymore. But because the retainer was my lucky thing, I was adamant to put the retainer on. So I would go up for a fling with just a mouth full of braces, like putting my retainer over my train tracks, like it got to the point during that year where I was like, this is ridiculous. You cannot keep doing, you cannot do all these dances with just braces in your mouth. So I feel like after that, I probably was like, I think after that, it was like a bib or something. There was always something, and it was just for me in my head that I thought that was lucky. And rituals before championships, I always like to have pasta the night before a championship. I don't really know if that was like a must have, but it was something that I liked to do. And in the morning, my dad would always make me a big breakfast because he knew that there wasn't really going to eat much for the rest of the day. So I would always have a nice cooked breakfast. I was very lucky that my dad would do that for me and make me a nice breakfast. And I think that was it. I definitely always liked to be at the championship quite a while before it started as well, to make sure that I was warmed up and ready to go, or else if I wasn't there, early enough, I would start to panic and stress.
Can you talk us through your World Championship win and your emotions on the day?
So I don't really remember much from that day, and as a whole, dancing wise, I remember waking up in the morning and, you know, everyone's like, your mum and dad they're nervous as well. Everyone's like just trying to stay calm and get ready for the day, doing my hair, everything, going up to the park. And I always remember walking into the park because we're there kind of waiting for the gates to open. So everyone's like waiting, and then when they open, everyone's all walking in. And I remember just trying to like stay calm, stay in the zone, go put your mats down, start warming up. And I would find a spot for my mats, and Mary-Anne would come and warm me up, make sure like I'm ready to go. And then once the dancing starts, I really don't remember much. I don't remember how I felt after any of my dances. I couldn't tell you how I danced the dances. I think I just was trying to get through them the best that I could. Normally for me at Kilwo, there's always something that I feel like I'm not happy with, or that I've done and I shouldn't have done that, or there's always something. So I was just trying to get through my dances the best I could. Then when it comes to the results, I remember just being backstage and with all the dancers and just thinking like, I always in my head, I'm talking to myself before the results, like as you're waiting for the results, like let's just stay calm, just like let's just breathe, and then you're like praying that your number is going to get called. So it came for the fling result, and I got the first in the fling, and then the sword result, and I got the first in the swords. And at this point is when I was thinking to myself, like, do not get your hopes up, like let's just stay calm. This had happened to me personally the year before. I'd got the first in the fling and the first in the swords, and then I didn't end up winning that year. I came runner up again. So for me, it was just this means nothing. Do not get your hopes up. Let's just wait, see the next result. And then the Sheen Shoes result came out, and I got the first in that. And I just remember hearing everyone cheer, and which for me was just amazing, that the fact that I felt like I had so much support from so many people, which was probably more overwhelming for me than the fact that I'd just won. Like at the point, I'm just thinking that everyone's how much everyone is cheering for me, and how much you can feel that people were like rooting for you and like had their hopes up for you. So for me, that was just like so overwhelming, and then by the time the real result was going to come, I did not care what that result was. So that's definitely the results I definitely remember. And the feeling, like once I'd won, I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I've like finally done it. Like I had been trying for so long, and it was just such a relief, and so just such an amazing feeling for me that I had finally like achieved that thing that I'd been trying to achieve for so long. And then something that I'll always remember is doing that championship fling, and just when you're on that stage, like talking with the other world champions about what steps you're going to do, and it's just something that you can't you can't even describe the feeling of it, and it's definitely a fling that I've never wanted to do a fling so much in my life as I was ready to do that fling. And as we started to do that fling, I remember the sun just like shining down on the stage, and just feeling so emotional and so like ready to do this fling, that everyone was clapping, everyone was cheering, and it was that for me is definitely a fling that I'll never ever forget. And yeah, just absolutely amazing. And after, I probably remember, though not remember, but after the parade and taking pictures with everyone, and everyone like drinking and cheersing, and that's just definitely something that I'll never forget for me. As well, the partying that went on after, we definitely celebrated for probably the next year after that. Like every time something happened, it was a celebration for the world. So the partying definitely continued a lot longer than that day, which was really nice. And yeah, that just was definitely like a lot of mixed emotions throughout that whole day, and a lot of it is such a blur. I was just so in a zone that it's all blanked out. But something I'll never forget is the winning moment in that Champions Fling.
It was when you then came back, like after not dancing for like a full year, and then came, was it for the adults?
Yeah, I was definitely not meant to be dancing Killa that year. However, persuasion persuaded me to do it. And then
Yeah, but it's probably because you were just like up there having fun rather than thinking like.
Honestly, that year for me at Killa was the most chilled Killa. I've never been so relaxed. I felt no pressure, even though I'd won the year before. So going in as the world champion, I did not feel any pressure because I had not danced like a championship that year. I wasn't planning on dancing, so I thought, I'm just going to go to this Killa, I'm just going to enjoy it, I'm going to be relaxed. And literally, I've never been so. I remember being up there for my swords on the Friday anyway, thinking, this is the first time I'm dancing a championship swords since Killa the year before, which is just crazy, absolutely crazy to do. So I remember just being like, it is what it is. Like, I've not done the championships, but I've worked hard over, like, still throughout the year. I'd started Ganton as well, so still been dancing and still been trying to go to Highland classes whenever I could. But that year at Killa, I was just so chilled, so relaxed. I remember sitting at the side of the stage before you go on, and everyone's like jumping, everyone's like, you know what it's like before you go up for your fling, and I was literally sitting on the ground with my legs like this, just chilling, being like, oh, you all nervous? Yeah, that's no, not like that, but yeah, that was a super chill, most chilled Killa I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
So it was quite good actually, in a way. It was nice to experience it like that.
On the lead up to the World Championships, what is a typical day's practice for you?
On the lead up to the Worlds, maybe I would always say that, you know, all your work's done. By August, all of your work's done. Like, you've put in all the work, so let's just like work on maintaining and keeping your legs good. So practice for me would probably, we used the championships more as our stamina, like, because in August there's championships every weekend, almost 2 every weekend. So we would use that as our like stamina days, and then during the week we would take it easier, work on some technique a lot, stretch a lot is something that I done, especially the year that I won the Worlds. And from like maybe the age of 15, stretching was something that really, really impacted me, I think, and really helped my dancing. So that was something that I had to do. So we would stretch a lot, work on technique. We would dance through a dance maybe in a class, but nothing too, like, not fling, sword, change, reel. We wouldn't do that because we'd do it at the championships. So probably just technique, I would say. Before that, like on the during the summer holidays before August, we would dance a lot more, and I would sometimes move into Marianne's house and just stay there for a while, and we would all have some classes together, and then we would walk to the shops and get lunch, then we would go back, do some more dancing, and Marianne was always a big technique teacher, so big on technique, that's the word. So we would do a lot of working on technique as well as our stamina.
Excluding the World Championships, what is your favourite competitive memory and why?
I'd probably say going to Canada for the first time. Going to Canada anytime is like amazing, but the first one just felt extra special. My mum and dad had never been before, and I actually can't even remember what year we went. I want to say 2010, but it might have been before that. It was in Saskatoon, is what I remember, and it was our first time going. Marianne came with us, and it was just an amazing experience, like turning up there, seeing how their competitions run, and just walking in, seeing the big platform with all the dancers dancing at the one time was just amazing. And I just thought that felt so lucky to be able to experience that, and competing there was probably a highlight, because you've spent so much money and everyone's come with, like Marianne came with us, my mum and dad both came, so it was just a really nice championship and really nice thing to experience. I think that would probably have to be my favourite one.
Throughout your competitive dance career, was there any obstacles that you incurred and had to work hard to overcome?
I was very lucky in the sense that I never had a major injury. Like, I never broke my foot, or I mean, I've broke my foot now, but while I was dancing, I've never broke my foot or anything like that. So I was quite lucky. For me, my biggest struggle was shin splints. I suffered quite hard from shin splints, and that was a reason that I had to stretch so much, because my calves would just get so tight, my legs would be so like sore and achy. So for me, that was my biggest thing, and the only way I could overcome that was really by stretching and really taking the time. It took a lot of dedication to stretch every day and to really put in the work just to try and dance without feeling the pain.
Kind of coming away from competitions, what would be your favourite memory brought through Highland dance?
My favourite memory from Highland dance, I think my all-time favourite has to be winning the double Oscars. So I won like 2 of the Oscars in the 1 year, the junior and the senior, or juvenile, I'm not sure, I think it's senior that they call it. And so that for me, so that obviously, you know, is like an amazing event that Jacqueline and Elizabeth both put on, and it's such a highlight of the year, like especially winning the both of them for me was just amazing, like such an amazing achievement for myself. That whole event just meant a lot to me, and it's just so much fun as well. All the dancers, everyone dresses up nice, you've got your dinner and your ceilidh, and then like it's a whole weekend as well if you do the conferences the next day. But that for me probably is definitely a massive highlight. And also being invited to dance at the BATD conference was a really massive highlight for me. I really enjoyed that experience, and I did a choreography dance there, so that was fun. And another amazing memory that I've got from Highland dance is being able to take part in the Edinburgh Tattoo and the Basel Tattoo that I did with Aileen Robertson, and it was Ailsa Craig Highland Dancers for the Basel Tattoo, and then to be part of the Edinburgh Tattoo was just such an amazing experience. Basel was my first experience of a tattoo, and I just loved it. I loved it was a 2 weeks, we got to go, we did our rehearsals, we danced, crowds were full every night was a standing ovation, and that was just an amazing experience. And so then I went from that then to do an Edinburgh Tattoo. I think it was like maybe like the month later or 2 months later, and again that was just one of the most amazing experiences that I've had through Highland dancing. Getting to perform at Edinburgh Castle every night was just amazing, an amazing feeling. And then to walk down the Royal Mile at the end was just amazing. It doesn't matter if it was raining or sunny, it was amazing every night. So that was definitely a great thing to be a part of.
With the Oscar, did you have any idea for a year that you could have been in a chance of winning both of them?
No, I hadn't thought about it until, what is it, the year from, so it was when I was 15 and 16. So when I turned 16, I wasn't thinking, I think it's 15, 16, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
When I turned 16, I wasn't, well, like, it wasn't in my mind at all. I didn't even like realise that it could have been a thing. So I was just dancing, and after I'd won a certain amount of championships, I think someone said to me, like, you need to win one more championship to win both of these Oscars, like, because I'd won enough in the 15s that I don't think anyone was going to catch up. And on the 16s, I just remember someone saying to me, like, if you win one more championship, you could win both of these Oscars. Like, it's not been done before, so like, try and do it, basically, really. So when I done that, I remember when I got told that had won them both, it was just like, wow, this is really cool.
So you've been quite successful at not just Highland, but a lot of other styles of dance, and you're even dancing on cruise ships for the last couple of years. So I just wondered, what's been your highlight in dance excluding Highland?
My highlight probably, well, one was probably getting my first job in Grease, the musical. I was still in college. I was in my third year of college, and I went to an audition kind of just for the experience and for fun and to see how it goes, to see what it's all about. And I never heard anything back for weeks. So it takes them, for Royal, the company that I worked for, they audition both in London and in New York. So they're doing the New York auditions after the London one. So you're not going to hear for a while, but it had been about 2 or 3 weeks and I hadn't heard anything. So I just passed that over, thought that was it, on to the next one. And then I got a phone call from my agent saying that Royal had offered me a part in Grease, and that I was with all the girls in my college as well at the time, and they could tell by my reaction what had just happened, and everyone was screaming and everyone was jumping, and so that was definitely a highlight for me. And then on this most recent cruise that I was in, Hairspray, I managed to get the role of dance captain for the cast, which was an amazing highlight for me, to be so young and it was only ever my second show as well, so to be dance captain, it was a lot of pressure, but it was an amazing achievement for me.
It's been great to watch all of the performances that you put up. Like, I know little bits and pieces, but it's so good to watch because I'm so used to seeing you in a Highland setting, and I've never seen styles before, so it's quite cool to watch. What would be your kind of top tip for dancers striving to achieve what you did?
My top tip would probably be just work hard. You know, you've got to, you get what you work for, so work hard and don't let, if you're not getting the results that you want, if you're not at the level that you want to be, like, don't let that get you down. Just use that to help you grow as a person, and just use that to motivate you to work harder and to try harder. Yeah, I would just say work hard for yourself and do it for yourself. You dance because you love it, so always remember that you do it because you love it.
Is there a dancer in particular that you would like to see interviewed?
I would like to see Megan Sweeney be interviewed. We've always competed against each other and we're good friends, so I think it would be good to see her side of her progress.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for giving me a bit of your time to
No, that's all right.
Thank you so much.
Of course.